give it a go. Okay, hi guys. It's the Success by Hangout team again doing our usual Tuesday night hangout. I'm just a group of members from the Six Figure Mentors and Digital Experts Academy, living the laptop lifestyle. So tonight we decided we would talk about the power of visualization in your online business. Visualization sounds like a big fancy word, but I think from my point of view it's really just a fancy way of saying picturing where you want to go or what you want to achieve, and then working out in smaller steps how you actually get there. And there's lots of different ways you can do it. So joining us tonight we've got Kat Payen from Bordeaux. Want to say hello, Kat?
Hello! Nice to be here.
Superb. Good to have you here. And we have Jerry. How are you, Jerry?
Hi guys. Yes, I'm very well, thank you. Nice to have you all together again.
Yeah, good to be here. And we have Johan from Sweden. How are you, Johan?
I'm fine. Hello, very nice to be here with you.
Brilliant, great to have you again, and look forward to hearing from you in a bit. And Kieran, just joining us from sunny England. Not as sunburned as you were a couple of weeks ago. How are you doing?
Yeah,
you there,
not quite, not quite. Yeah, I'm here. Yeah, thanks, Dave. Thanks for the invite. Yeah, hi everyone. Great to be here again. Yeah, it's sunny in Bristol again today. I'm loving the sunshine, loving the summer air. Continue.
Excellent. And Satya, just back from some more of your travels. How are you getting on?
How you, Dave? Yeah, I was. I'm back nearly 2 weeks now. I was in Israel doing a silent meditation retreat for a couple of weeks. So it's like anything. Once you've gone, once you're back a couple of days, it's as if it never happened.
Yeah. I know. It's just the same, isn't it? I suppose that must be something that you visualize when you're planning retreats, and then, as you say, it happens, and then it's done, isn't it? C'est la vie.
Yeah.
Okay, so visualization then. Who wants to kick us off? Who wants to give us something about visualization and the power of visualization in an online business or in general? Anyone want to volunteer, or will I just pick someone?
Dave, I have just been Googling something, so can I?
Yeah, absolutely, go for it.
Yeah, it's so interesting. I came across a page, and it explains what visualization is, and as you say, it's just picturing something or imagining something. But the really fascinating thing about this and why visualization can be so powerful is that our brain doesn't always know the difference between what is actually physically happening and what we're just imagining is happening. So some of the same kind of neural pathways get triggered whenever we're imagining something. So that's why, I don't know if you've ever been sitting remembering something that happened to you 6 months ago or last year, and you can, if it was something funny, you'll start to smile, and you might even start to laugh out loud, even though you're in a room by yourself, but you'll start to have the same feelings that you had at the time that this thing happened, even though it's not actually happening. So it's a very powerful thing, and there's all kinds of research has been done, and it's used particularly in sport. And I guess we've all heard of Jack Nicklaus, the famous golfer, and he used to picture himself taking the perfect golf swing before he did it, and he says that this really helped him become really great at golf. I'm thinking of another example in sport. There's a guy called Tony Quinn. He's self-development, personal development guru, and I can't remember the box. Steve Collins. He was a world boxing champion, and he hired Tony Quinn to be ringside with him when he was fighting in the world champion boxing match, and he kind of got him into a particular state of mind that meant that, you know, he was imagining himself being successful and winning this match, and that's what happened. So it seems to be very common in sport.
Yeah, I've certainly heard of visualization used a lot in sort of sport therapy and training. I also watched, there's actually a video in the SFM back office, which you've probably all seen, with Tony Robbins talking to Frank Kearns and someone else, and he goes through a little visualization exercise where he just tells them to kind of put like the golf swing thing, just stand in one place and then stretch around with your eyes closed as far as you can possibly go. And then he says, right, imagine yourself doing that much, much further than you just did it there, and try it again. And it just seems to work. They're able to sort of stretch much further than they thought they could. But yeah, definitely sports therapy. I've actually done events with, or worked with sports therapists in the past, and they use visualization a lot. And then they also take that from a sort of software point of view, where they can actually plot movements, and then coupling with that visualization with software graphics, they can do a lot as well. So yeah, brilliant example. Kieran, any thoughts yourself on visualization? Is it something you do a lot of, or what are your thoughts on the subject?
Yeah, I definitely can see how it helps within sports. You can see how it's definitely going to help if you can visualize the outcome. Not just visualize being going so far or competing and getting yourself so far. Actually seeing the goal, the end goal, visualizing the end goal. There's an example of the team who visualized getting to the end or getting to the finals, and they made it to the finals. But if you visualize yourself winning, and then you're going to get to the finals and win, then it's taking it to the next step. It's taking it to the next, it's visualizing the end goal. So yeah, that's important. That's kind of key, I think, is visualizing the actual end goal rather than visualizing just part of the story or just half of it as such. So in business wise, I think that's what we need to do. We need to be visualizing the end goal, whatever that is. That's what's going to help. I think we visualize in pictures and images. That's we kind of think in pictures, we think in images. I think we need to obviously we need to visualize as an image. That's how we sort of, I believe that's how we can define the end goal a lot more easier, because we sort of see in images. So if we're able to picture the end goal in an image, visualize the image, then it's going to be a lot more achievable.
Yeah, great points, Kieran. Yeah, I totally agree. Do you think as well? I think there's a lot to be said for the sort of strength of visualization, how actually detailed your visualization is. So I mean, it's not, for example, if you want a nice car, as a purely typical example, I guess it's not really very helpful to just imagine a nice car, is it? You have to actually, I suppose, put a brand name to it, imagine the colour, the engine size, the specifications, all that kind of stuff. So I think the closer or the more detailed your visualization is, the more powerful the effect probably is. I don't know if you agree with that. Johan, do you do much visualization, or you got anything you can share with us about?
Yes, I'm thinking of different parts. I heard that when you visualize, if you have a goal, a very big goal, and it can seem very scary to you, so if you put it in sizes, how much a price tag on every little step to that goal, it will not be that scary or fearful to you. And the visualization thing, I think about, start with the end in mind, and then you visualize the end goal, but then you go from there. What did have to happen before that, and before that, and before that? And being there already, I'm thinking about a book like The Magic of Thinking Big. And I said that ordinary people just think of what is, how much money I have on my bank account, what can I achieve from where I am now. But to be successful, you have to be already there you want to be now, and always have that happy feeling with you, no matter worries or what you have. The most important is to keep that energy light and always be there in your mind, and the universe will take care of itself. Something.
Great stuff. Yeah, yeah. Bridging in the slightly mystical near you on. Brilliant. Yeah, great stuff. And Jerry, what about yourself? What's visualization for you?
Yeah, it's the whole concept of visualization. I've only realised what it was all about when I joined SFM, really, the whole mindset of achieving your goals. And I've learned that is repetition. You have to visualize it and think about it every day, and you just have to clear your mind and just think about what it is that you want, what you're visualizing, and it's just the more detail the better. As you say, it's not just I want a big car, I want a big house. You have to actually visualize that whatever it is you want to the minutest detail and focus on that every single day. And over the weeks and months, I've got introduced to that kind of way of thinking and learning that concept. And I use this analogy when you learn to drive a car, and you have like a blackout and you can't remember the journey. Well, that's your unconscious mind knowing how to drive that car to your destination. Where it's only if something interrupts you, like a red light or something catches your attention, that's your conscious mind telling you there's something new. So you have to train your unconscious mind by visualization to train it to think in a certain way to get to where you want to go. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally does to me.
Yeah.
Completely. Good call. And Kat, visualization. What are your thoughts? Is it something you? I'm sure this is something you do a lot of. We're trying to visualize what's behind the curtain behind you. We've been trying for weeks, but we just don't.
Yeah, no, I really like Jerry's analogy. I think that's very good. That's the first time I've heard that, so I thank you for that. That's nice. Yeah, I'm on a new goal at the moment. So I'm writing meta stories that we talked about last week, and to write my meta story, I have to already be there before I can actually write my meta story. So to me, visualization is highly important because it's like the first step. And when you get there, you have to really imagine what it's like. And at the moment, I'm also doing the 11 Laws by Bob Proctor and Mary Morrissey, which is it's taking on the whole concept of the law of attraction. So visualization is an important part, but it is just a part of it. And I realise now of all the listening to all you of the whole path that I have taken, and obviously I'm further down the road because, as I say, I've been doing this longer than you, and it's to me all these things you say are so lovely and refreshing because I've forgotten because I'm at another level, so I'm just concentrating on this next level, as it were. But you forget all that, and it's really important to sort of bring yourself back to how you did. Like Jerry with the driving. Yes, of course it's like that. So I was more or less on automatic pilot. So thanks, Jerry. I've got red lights now. I've got to pay attention to everything that's going down, and visualization is very important. But you have to really use all your senses when you're visualizing everything, and it's part of I do the 6-phase meditation in the morning, which you can get freely on the YouTube. I'll put the link. And part of that process is visualizing where you will be in 3 years, because he says that in the next year, the human brain will just do too much for 1 year, but it won't think of enough in 3 years. So you have to project yourself 3 years on. And obviously, as you're doing this every morning, you can add to it every day. And to actually, this is one thing that somebody brought home to me, is that you're going to earn a lot of money, but can you visualize that? And it is true that in the beginning, to imagine that you are earning this much money per month is wow, You know, it's you know, when you're really there and you really visualize yourself there, it's kind of scary. So you have to get used to all this, and this is why, you know, everything is a slow process, because you can't just, you know, become really rich, because of all it entails. It's not just for the money, it's for the all the path that, you know, you take to get there. So I think
Mm.
visualizing is very important, but it's a very slow and steady process also, like everything we do in SFM. You know, I think it's an
Mm.
amazing journey, and I'm really grateful.
Mm.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah, brilliant. This is obviously yeah, it's obviously a subject that's you can go very deep on. The example I could give, I was looking for a picture that I painted a long time ago, but I can't find it, unfortunately. But what it was, I was just desperate to. I really like peace and quiet, and I really wanted at one point in my life to just move away from everyone and just have this little white cottage in the middle of nowhere with just a couple of things, a couple of essential things that I wanted. And I'm not a very good painter. I can draw cartoons and stuff, but I decided to do a watercolor painting of this. And so I did that, and it was just a very naive drawing of a little white cottage in the middle of nowhere, and it had a car, a motorcycle, and a great big billboard at the side of it, which had a picture of a bull defecating, and a big line through it, a big red line through it, as in no bullshit. And that is just all I wanted out of life at that point. Isolation and just no bullshit, because I'd been surrounded by just awful bullshit and phoniness for a long time. So it kind of worked because I ended up. It worked, but not in any way I could have predicted, because I wasn't particularly good at visualization. I just strongly wanted to achieve that, and I was able to draw that in a picture. So I actually ended up living on a Hebridean island in a little white cottage, and I had a car and a motorbike. But I could never have. I was actually got a job on a fish farm, and that house was actually a tied cottage, which came with the job. And I just bought the car and the motorbike. But I've never forgotten that. I'm sure I've got the picture somewhere. It's probably at my mum and dad's house. But since then, I've just always appreciated this sort of power of visualization. As I understand it, it's not a subject I've gone too deeply into, but I've certainly had proof that it's effective. Does anyone else have, I don't know, a similar story, but does anyone else have an experience that they can sort of relate to this in any way similar to that?
It's so interesting, Dave, to hear that story. I shared a story last week about losing my passport in the
Mm.
forest and getting it back at the very last minute. And I really believe that a big part of getting the passport back just before the taxi drove up to take me to Delhi to go to the embassy to get a new passport was the fact that I'd been reading the book The Secret
Mm.
just a couple of weeks before this happened, and myself and a friend went through the process of imagining the passport back in my hand, and I
Mm.
imagined it in so much detail, how the pages felt between my fingers and all the different stamps and the dog-eared corners. And what I didn't say last week was that we actually did a dance on the side of the road just before the taxi came, because the thought of leaving one of the most beautiful places on the planet with, you know, these amazing mountains and forests and
Mm.
lovely views and everything, to go back to Delhi, which is, if anybody's ever been there, you'll know how intense it is. There's so much noise from all the traffic and the horns blowing the whole time, and also just the pollution there. Like, for me to spend 4 days there, I would have had like respiratory problems, which I get when I go there. You know, I just have that sensitivity. I always end up coughing and runny nose and all that kind of thing. So I really wasn't looking forward to going to Delhi. So we were standing at the side of the road, myself and my friend, trying to imagine something positive about going to Delhi. So we started dancing like, woohoo, I'm going to Delhi, happy days. It's such a wonderful place. If you're a cockroach, you know, so it's like, yeah, let's pretend I'm a cockroach. And just totally exhilarated at the prospect of going back to Delhi. And now I don't know, I don't know, was it imagining being a cockroach and being happy they brought the passport back. But certainly just changing the mood and changing the outlook changed the physiology, and you know, just made me feel happy anyway, you know. So even if I did have to continue the journey, you know, it would have been okay. But I was reading, has anybody ever read Molecules of Emotion by Candace Pert?
Okay.
Or no? It's a fascinating book, and if you're into that at all, if you're interested in that at all, about how emotions and physiology and thoughts all affect each other, then this is the scientific proof for it. This lady was a microbiologist, and she was a professor. She was involved in discovering the opiate receptor, which eventually got the Nobel Prize. She also writes in her book about the fact that she was a young woman who made this discovery, but she didn't get the Nobel Prize because of, you know, the older man who had it all kind of stitched up between them, you know, all the politics of it. So that's another part of her story. But it's been scientifically proven, and there's another book that I'm reading. It's called The Genie in Your Genes by a guy called Dawson Church. And it's full of experiments, details of experiments that have been done that prove that our emotions and our thoughts and what goes on with the chemicals in our cells, all the chemical reactions, all affect each other. So we're like this big network, an information network, a body-mind network, and so I think that's why visualization works so well. And I think I've gone completely off the point, but anyway, there we go.
Brilliant. Yeah, it's not every day you hear about cockroaches in Delhi and a subject like visualization.
Dancing cockroaches.
They don't dance for long, and I see. No, that's brilliant. Thanks for sharing that. Someone else, Kieran, do you have any examples of visualization or some you know, experience you've had where visualizations kind of worked for you?
Yeah, I was kind of reminded with Satya then about the a little bit of when I visualized my friends and who I haven't seen for many years, and then you end up seeing them or bump into them in the next couple of weeks. It's often kind of blown me away. So it goes back to that visualization. You actually see a picture of them in your mind, and it makes it a lot clearer. I think it can be a lot more precise when you've got that image in your mind. But yeah, definitely referring back to The Secret as well, there's a little story in The Secret that really stands out for me, and that's when the guy has been visualizing a house that he's always wanted, a dream house, and I think it was about 5 years later, he was going through some boxes after a move, and his daughter asked him, "No, what's in this box, Daddy?" And he sort of long forgotten about the box, and yeah, he opened up the box out of curiosity. He'd forgotten what it was, and it was some just some old pictures that he'd put away, and you know, some stuff that he'd forgotten about. And then when he looked a bit closer at the actual picture, the photograph, it was a photograph that he had been visualizing 5 years ago. Turned out to be the very house that they'd moved into and renovated, and he didn't even realize. But that turned out to be, that was the actual house that he's moved into and then renovated it with the house that he was looking at 5 years previous. And I thought that was just absolutely fantastic, like a super story of just the power of visualizing and visualization.
Yeah, fantastic. I think yeah, if you can associate, I guess it goes back a bit to when we were talking about meta stories a little last week. If you associate all the senses with visualization, not just visual, because some people, again, from teaching experience. Some people are better visualizing from the written words than they are from pictures, and some people are more sort of kinetic visualization, so they need to see things sort of mimed or acted out. But yeah, it's brilliant. So it was interesting stuff. Johan, do you have any kind of experiences or direct results you've had from a sort of visualization process?
Well, I think about the transcendental meditation, the whole world that I come into that I didn't know. This John Hagelin from The Secret, he is actually doing TM on a high level, and he used to explain scientific what happens with the universe, how the law of attraction works. And sometimes when you slow down your thoughts, you get more receptive for the universe laws. They say you are on the natural, how would you say it? The nature support. You get more of the nature support when you meditate. You get more synchronization in your life. For most people who don't meditate in a way, they get this sometimes in life, maybe when they get married or maybe something big in their life. But when you meditate, you get more open, this synchronization in life. Things happen, and yeah, you get more connected in a way. And one thing I thought about was this more meditation. You slow down and you get more receptive. Take a move. And then now I just forgot my point. But it was a good one. Okay. I can maybe come back later.
Yeah. Just drop us a message in the chat box. Kat, come to you. Do you have a?
Yeah, I do actually have just something I was thinking on, that I read that thoughts travel like 930,000 times faster than your words. So, a picture makes 1,000 words, but hey, those thoughts, make it a whole lot faster for you. And which is why, I think visualization might be the first way to grab, to start climbing that ladder, as it were. And I do think it's fascinating, all this. It's something I've always studied. I didn't realize I was studying it, till I came to SFM. But I've always been, well, an avid advocator of all this, in fact. And some people might, have often say to me, "Oh, well, you live in a cuckoo. You live in a dream world. You live in a completely different world to us." Because I've always gone about life, visualizing things that are going to happen, and then invariably they do. And I haven't gone through the hard, normal slog that everyone else. I haven't gone through the normal route, shall we say, that other people do. And it's only when I started studying all this with SFM and put words to it, or The Secret, that I realized that I was actually doing it a completely different way. It was just a different way. So for me, it's just a way of life. It really has always been, and I've never actually done anything normally, as it says. So, yeah, I could go on about visualization till the cows come home. As far as I'm concerned, to me, it's a everyday topic.
Yeah, brilliant. I think it's probably kind of true to say as well that visualization has probably played a part in everything we have in the world, really, isn't it? I mean, everything that we have around us started with someone's dream and something that they visualized. That's just quite an incredible thing to think about, isn't it? Again, another book some of you may have read is The Science of Getting Rich. I don't know if you've read that one. It's quite a strange little book. Written, I think, 1910. And it's quite sort of esoteric, but it just basically goes on about, it is essentially about visualization and how everything is composed from, as he calls it, the formless stuff. But it actually is just dreams, the sort of raw material that is basically dreams, where everything starts from, everything we have really started with a dream, and that is, if nothing else, got to be evidence for the power of visualization. Jerry, did you have something you wanted to add? I know Sanchez wanted to bring you out.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I suppose if I look back, I've had lots of situations where I thought it was a coincidence, or the vision of hindsight, thinking, oh, actually, I did think about that. And there's quite a few situations where I've actually thought I was dreaming. For example, I was going to go on holiday, and I think it was out when we went to Madeira. I think I was about 9 years old, so it was quite a while ago. And we were just walking along this little street, and I kept saying to my mum, oh, we're going to that house, we're going to that house. And for some reason, I was adamant I needed to go to this house, and lo and behold, the house that I pictured and I did a drawing was the house there. It was absolutely, and I've never been there before. And I always associate that with being a bit psychic. So visualization is something completely different. We can tap into. And I used to think, oh, I just premonition or something. But no, it's actually the power that you're actually thinking this is something subconsciously, that you can actually get yourself into that situation. I love Satya's story about the dancing cockroaches. That's just brilliant. It's just, it could be any day event occurring that you think, oh, if you just got to change that mindset into thinking, not to panic, and to think about, well, actually, if I think about this often enough, and I think about a lot of family members as well, and out of the blue they'll give me a call, or out of the blue they will just turn up. I mean, is that thinking process, that thought process that you have, can actually push you towards actually having that situation. I do find it very fascinating, and I do want to learn more about it, because I can think of instances that I have thought of something or visualized something in my mind, and it's actually come true. And I say I can go right back to my childhood with events like that, and I didn't realize what it was at the time, but now I kind of, well, actually, yes, this is the way forward to achieve your goals and success. So yeah, I'm looking forward to learning more about it, that's for sure.
Yeah, brilliant. Thanks, Jerry. I noticed, Satya here, you want to come in with something about someone you know who uses visualization in physiotherapy. Is that right?
Yeah. Again, this is just along this theme of our thoughts and our thoughts having an effect on our physiology. And I mentioned earlier research that was done in sport, and there's a guy in a university in Lyon in France, and yeah, I'm just looking at my notes here. He was saying that when you do mental workouts, like if you imagine yourself walking up a hill, or I don't know, running or anything at all, what happens is that the fight or flight thing, this thing that happens in your nervous system, the fight or flight response, kicks in, even if you're not actually running or actually walking up a hill. Still, these changes start happening in your body, and your heart rate will go up, your breathing will get quicker, and things like that. And other research was done in America, 2007, the North American Journal of Psychology. And they got a group of athletes to picture themselves doing a particular hip exercise. And they had another group who actually did the same hip exercise. And they did it 5 times a week for 15 minutes. And they looked at the results at the end. And they discovered that those who had only pictured themselves doing the exercises had almost the same gains in strength as those who were actually doing them. So that's a brilliant get-out clause, and all the gyms are going to go out of business now. We can all just sit at home and imagine ourselves doing sit-ups and getting nice ripped abdomen. But anyway, no, the story I wanted to share was a lady I was talking to about a month ago, 5 weeks ago. I go out with a hill walking group every Sunday, and this lady is a physiotherapist, and she deals mostly with people who've had a stroke, and she's trying to help them to get some movement back. So she was telling me about a mental exercise that she does with some of her clients. And what she does is she gets them to imagine all the small steps that are involved, for example, in reaching your hand out and putting your fingers around a cup and lifting the cup and bringing it to your mouth to take a drink of tea. So very, very simple thing that we all do every day, but for people who've had a stroke, this is a huge deal for certain people. So what she does, she was telling me that she gives them like a mental exercise to do where they go through all those small steps that are involved in reaching out and grasping the cup and bringing it back to their mouth. She gets them to do it 40 times just in their mind, 4 times a day. So they picture this 160 times a day. And she has discovered that it really helps. It helps them get more mobility quicker than if they didn't do it. And she actually makes recordings of herself going through all the steps so they can listen to it whenever she's not physically there with them. So it's the same. I guess it's along it's the same principle as the Jack Nicklaus and the boxer I mentioned earlier, Stephen Collins, and I guess the principle can be applied to anything. Whether you're going to have a difficult conversation with someone, and you want to stay calm and centered. You can picture yourself being like that.
Yeah.
Or if you want a business conversation to go well, a negotiation, you really picture the outcome, and yeah. So that's just what I wanted to share, Dave. Thanks.
Oh, brilliant! Thanks for that. It just reminded me. It's not desperately relevant, but there's the other type of visualization you mentioned, or maybe didn't. It made me think of people. One of the biggest fears people have is public, and you've probably all heard of the visualization technique when you're in that situation and you're scared of the audience, is to imagine them all naked. It's one of those other little visualization tricks that I've read about. Johan, I'm going to come back to you because you've got back your chain of thought that you.
Yeah, I got my memory back.
So
I'm so happy. Yeah. Well, I think about this with scientific person, if you should generalize a little. They usually develop their left brain, the logic brain, and that may mean they do certain choices in their life. If they had developed more singing, theater, artistic, then it's more like that the right brain is more developed. And I think that could be that you are not receptive for some things. And I think it's like with sports, if they can relate to that with training you get better and better with visualization. If you are totally on the logic part, then it seems maybe a waste of time. So for people who start it, maybe it's things like they start from the beginning and reset themselves. And of course it's good to have balance between them, but train them both. I think it's very, very good advice for and also so you can use all this in your life.
Yeah, great point. I think I'm surprised we haven't mentioned it before, Johan, because I know you're a musician. I am too, but that was a big part in my learning, in my case, the guitar, because it's like everything else. When you first pick up a guitar, it's very, very unnatural, very, very uncomfortable. It's actually quite painful, and you really need to strongly have a desire to want to learn how to play it. Don't you to work your way through all that stuff? And visualization is a big part of that. Well, it was for me. You see yourself on stage in a band, and you have that's what kind of gives you the drive to go through all the small steps, the small increments to get you to where you want to go.
Yeah.
Surprised we haven't talked about that before. So if I can come to you then, Kat, we really were, it's a brilliant subject, and I think we could all talk about it all night, but we were trying to, I guess, bring this into how we use visualization in our online businesses. So can you give us some insights into how you use visualization from a business point of view?
Yeah, so I use it, for example, before a webinar to, bring out the best in me. I sort of visualize it going well and not saying anything wrong or, when I talk to clients also, I sort of try and visualize it before, or prospects or whatever. And in my business, obviously, I use it for seeing my name on the leaderboards, or these sort of little. Well, to me, there's little steps, as you say, to bring the whole picture through. But it's an ongoing process, and every time you're at a higher level. So it's I do use it every morning in my meditation, and that's for my business, obviously, because my business is part of my life. It's something I really enjoy doing, and I was talking to someone just today about that, and he was saying, well, I can't do that for a job. I mean, I was like, well, why not? You enjoy doing it, so just see yourself doing that in the future, and money will come if you do something you enjoy. So I guess I even try and, well, I didn't see myself having done it that way, but now I have that. I portray visualization to everything, because it's just the way things move forward. Like you were saying with learning the guitar, you see the end goal, where you won't see the small steps as being so painful, or unnatural, because you're just watching the end goal, and it's something you enjoy doing. Obviously, playing the guitar, I imagine. Otherwise, you don't go through the pain, or whatever it might be. So, yeah, to me, I do try and tell everyone, or bring everyone to visualization in a sort of roundabout way. So I use it constantly, even to the kids.
Fantastic. Yeah, as you say, I think it's a very holistic thing. As we've discussed, it can be parts of all aspects of your life, really. Jerry, is it something you use particularly in your? How do you use visualization, or forward thinking, or projection, or what you want to call it?
Yeah. From a business point of view, yeah, certainly. Originally, I used visualization as to help me keep focused and to keep myself motivated and I would put pictures up on my wall of what my end goal is, what I want to achieve, and it's organic. It grows, and more I've gone into this since joining SFM, is where, as I said earlier, I was introduced to this whole visualization mindset. I started to notice a change in myself, in being more confident, and have this starting getting change in the instinct that I know if I do something, that what the outcome is going to be, because I've not only did my due diligence and researched it, I've actually visualized that's what I want to do, that's where I want to go. And yeah, and you have to do it every day as well. It's not something you can dip in and out. You just have to keep doing it a little bit every single day. And Kat is a great example of that. She does visualization for everything. And yeah, I'm a really good, want to learn more about it. As I said, I think it has definitely improved my performance in my business. That's for sure.
Yeah, cool, good idea. And Kieran,
I wanted to just ask Jerry a question here, if I may. Sorry.
Yeah, go on.
You're talking about having your vision board.
Yes.
Where is your vision board?
Where is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's above my desk where I work.
So
So
you see it all the time.
yeah, yeah. So if whatever I come, whether it's a positive word or a quote or a picture of where I want to be, it doesn't have to be a picture of a house or a car. It can be a positive word, a positive, as I say, positive quote that's inspired me, that motivated me to think about what I'm doing, to take more action, because you have to, you can visualize it, but you have to do the action. So this is why I'm training myself at the moment to keep visualizing in a board and thinking about it positively, to take the action I need to move forward. And I'm beginning to try to relax about the end goal a bit more, because I know it's going to happen. And I know that sounds really quite a bold thing to say. I know it's going to happen because I believe in what I'm doing, and the visualization really does start to it's kicking in for me now, actually, and I'm going to want to learn more and move it forward. So yeah, that's where it is. It's above my desk. I'm in a different room today, but yeah, it's above my desk.
And how long have you been how long have you had your board up there and had been really, consciously making more use of it, would you say?
I would say, Kat, really, I started, the 90-day blueprint, because it wasn't there when I first started. So I did the blueprint again. I sort of went through all the modules then, and it was then. So for the last 6 months, I've been doing it and just adding little bits every day and thinking about it every day. And it's coming to a point now where I feel I'm getting more creative, getting more ideas, getting more confident in what I'm doing. And that, not only that, visualization is obviously doing the same things and learning as well. But yeah, the visualization has helped me more than just thinking about it. It's helped me to actually have pictures, and as I say, it's not just pictures, it's quotes, it's words as well. Yes, so that's what I do. Thank you,
Cool.
Kat.
Brilliant. Kieran, haven't heard from you for a while. Do you use a vision board, or do you have any techniques where you use visualization for your business?
Actually, I was just looking at a site, essentiallifeskills.net / visualization, and it's exactly what Jerry just said. Things that we use for visualization: success, motivation, inspiration, familiarizing, setting the stage for a performance event, and do a run through. They just talk about how we visualize with things we want, and they talk about going somewhere quiet and private where you won't be disturbed, closing your eyes, thinking of the goal, the mood, the new behavior, and the skill you want to require. Taking several deep breaths and relaxing, visualizing the object situation you desire in your mind, emotion, feelings, and the feelings attached to your senses, to your vision, and just practicing it twice a week, which is exactly what Jerry was saying about keeping it regular. I think that's very, very important here. Is the actual, just keeping it regular, doing this, practicing it. They talk about 10 minutes a day, which is is good. And if I can visualize in my business, sort of allow 10 minutes, then that's good practice. If I can, yeah. So it's just that's the website I was just looking at, and it just pretty much backs up what Jerry was saying now. Exactly.
Brilliant. Yeah, I must admit, I started to put together a vision board just behind my computer, so facing me when I'm working. But it's also where I shoot a lot of videos, so it was just a little bit untidy because it was starting to encroach on the videos. So I need to find somewhere else to put it so that I can expand on it. But I just really had a couple of pictures of types of places that we want to live, because I think what attracts probably most people to this kind of business is that it gives you so many options, and that can be in terms of location, and that's, you know, a lot of people, Sacha and many more of us, see travel as one of the things that we would like to do more of, and that's why one of the things that, you know, working online allows you to do. So from a visual point of view, I guess going back to the point I made earlier on, you have to get that vision pretty exact. We just cannot decide at the moment where we want to live. So whereas I've started off with a couple of pictures of rural France, which I absolutely love, we also are starting to sort of think about Spain, but we also love Scotland, and there's little places by the seaside in Scotland that we love and we could live. So at the moment it's a sort of option paralysis. So we really have to tighten up the visualization, make it a lot more exact. It's been brilliant.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just coming back to the visual boards. Somebody said the other day I was talking to, said that, you know, some days the alarm goes off and you don't really, you know, you're snug in a bug. And for me anyway, I don't go to work. The kids are on holiday, so it's really difficult to get that, you know, 5 o'clock start. It's like, oh, never mind, you know. And she said that her way to get out of bed and do that is have just 1 or 2 vision board pictures up by her bed, so that, you know, when you turn over you see that and you think, oh no, you know, and you leap out of bed in a really ready to go mode, because, you know, you're working towards something, and so the pain, blah 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 blah. So I just thought that, you know, this is something I'm, you know, going to start using a lot of right now, because, you know, I live by the sea, the kids are on holiday, it's really complicated to find time to work well. So it does sort of motivate you to get in early start, so that, you know, you can spend the day with the children, as opposed to, you know, hold on kids, I'm just doing this, whatever it might be, because everything's a bit different.
Yeah.
And with respect also to your you know, where shall we live, you could do like Greg and Fiona, you know, 3 months here, 3 months there, and, you know, I mean, I really
that's more.
Well, this is that,
yeah.
you know, as soon as the kids have gone, that's my life. That's
yeah, definitely. That's
got a way to go, Terry. Way to go. They're very young.
Yeah, I think you're right. There's the kind of no fixed abode thing is very, very appealing. No. But if you can do it in style, you know, so much the better. So yeah, you're definitely right there. Well, we're getting about 8 minutes to. Does anyone have anything they would like to add just before we sort of wind up and?
Yeah, I had one thing actually I thought about.
Okay, you Anne?
Yeah. I think about first how fascinating the brain is. When you start playing instrument, I think about when I sing in choir in 10 years. First, when I start singing, it was just notes to me and no music. I couldn't get the music. And I read somewhere that it's the last thing that you pick up, how the dynamic is, where it should be crescendo, diminuendo, and all this. This takes the longest time to get when you should make a cover of some music. Now it gets more easier because we have the experience. I guess you feel the same, experience the same when you should, copy one song and play it like they play it and find all the diminuendo and how they are panorama. I think you have where you have put the drums, where you have put the guitar. Is it in the middle or is it in the left, or what sound is it? And this is the last thing we pick up. First we pick this with the tunes, and then the music comes. But one more thing I thought about was this: with anyone heard about mind movies? They have them. Someone I have never bought them, but they are there. You can board where you can make your own movie. You can put in your pictures and you can make a collage, and then you can use from a database a lot of different things and make your own movie. But you can actually do it yourself if you have a YouTube account, your channel. Then you can put your favorite pictures, and then you can put text under, and then you can make your own music, and that could be very powerful also.
Yeah, definitely. Good points, Johan. Anyone else got anything they want to add briefly before we sort of finish up? And
Dave, do you mind?
yeah, totally go for it, Santa.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
It's just.
I had a vision of something else.
Oh
Sorry.
yeah, no, Kat, go ahead.
No, it was just a joke. It was just a joke.
Oh, sorry, I missed something there. Yeah. No, but just what I was going to say. Like I kind of had a wish list for the kind of the way that I would generate income. You know, top of the list was obviously winning the lottery. Second on the list was finding a rich man who I could marry and then divorce and have a nice prenuptial agreement with. But third on the list, because they weren't such wholesome ways maybe of getting the income, it was to find a business that I could do that would give me passive income and residual income, which would mean that I wouldn't have to be physically doing the work. So that was big on my kind of visualization and big on my list. And I'm imagining going away and then checking my bank account and seeing it had increased rather than gone the other way. So that was a big part of me on, you know, going on this journey and then eventually finding the six-figure mentors. So I think if you kind of make a list of all the qualities that you want in the business that you want to do, or the kind of education that you want to get and the things that you want to learn. I also, you know, I wanted to learn real skills. I wanted something that was of very high quality, very substantial, and something that I could also do at my own pace, you know, where I wasn't tied into attending classes, for example, every Wednesday night between September and June. You know, it's just something I could work with online. So all those elements, you know, came together, and SFM ticks all those boxes for me. So yeah, maybe people would want to think about, you know, looking at SFM and does it tick your boxes, your list that you've made out for what you want.
Yeah, absolutely, great points. And Satya, where can people find you online?
I'm on Facebook and Twitter, Google Plus, and my email address is satyagillen@gmail.com, and be delighted to help anybody who has any questions about this, wants any help setting up a home business or, you know, creating their digital life. Thanks very much, Dave.
Brilliant, fantastic. And Kieran, where can people get hold of you if they want to have a chat with you? Or talk to you about online business?
Yeah, usual places, www.kieranjones.com. And just our final point, I mean, this visualization is more than just life essential skills. It's, you know, it's as well as business skills. It's life skills, shall I say? And just the other day, even using the visualization in my plumbing job, just in my assistant job, it's just mad how you can actually visualize the job and see it in in how it's going to look. Just seems to speed up the whole process of the installation. It's surprising. You know, these skills can be used in a lot of other areas, not just setting up a business online. You know, not just helping other people succeed. It can help in a whole other ways, whole other heap of ways, which is just the power of visualization. So on that note, guys, it's been a great webinar, and speak to you all soon.
Brilliant, thank you, Kieran. And Johan, where can we find you?
Well, yes, I think the easiest is my website, goktoponlinebusiness.com, for anyone that's interested in starting online business. And I think that SFM, they collect the best of what is out there with law of attraction and the action part, so it makes something real, that's something that works in real life. So you're very welcome there, and to my Facebook page also, GOK Top Online also there, my fan page, and Google Plus and Twitter also. Yeah.
Fabulous. Jenny, where are you?
Hello, yes, I'm on the usual suspects, Facebook, G+ Twitter, and my email address is www.jerryhayes.com. And yes, I've been on a journey with this visualization since joining SFM, and I can say hand on heart, it had definitely helped me improve my performance using different techniques. So if you'd like to get in touch with me and I can help you with that for your online business, then please do. So thank you, Dave. Great hangout tonight, guys.
Thanks, Jerry. And last but not least, Kat, where can people find you?
I'm available at katbanyan.com and also on the Success by Hangout Facebook page, where you can get in touch with any one of us. You know, just holler and we're there. That's, you know, just amazing hangout. Thanks, guys. We could talk about this till we're blue in the face, but gotta stop.
Brilliant. So thanks, guys. That's been a great hangout, as everyone said. Thanks very much to everyone for contributing so brilliantly. And I hope if you've been watching this, you've enjoyed it and got something from it. I'm Dave Menzies. You can get me at davemenzies.com, all the usual places. Not sure what the subject will be for next week, but we'll be in touch and let you know. So essentially, I suppose to close, I would just like to say, if you have some kind of vision of the perfect life you would like to lead, come to SFM because we've got it. And on that note, we will see you next time. Cheers.